Hello, and welcome to the third installment of How to Put Your Presentation Together. What I'd like to discuss in today's video installment is introductions and the conclusions. The first video was all about communication apprehension and how to calm those butterflies. The second installment was using the body or the meat of the speech and how using supporting materials can build up your presentation. But today we're going to talk about the top layer and the bottom layer of your presentation by focusing specifically on introductions and conclusions. Before we really get into the heart of the matter, I want to talk to you a little bit about how I do my public speaking presentations. We've discussed several times that I want your speech to be extemporaneous. I want it prepared and I want it practiced, but I don't want your speech written out word for word. This is for your benefit because if you'll use your outline and using key words, it forces you to look at your audience and to become engaged with them and have your students or your fellow audience members supporting your presentation. That's true of the body of the speech. However, whenever I do public presentations, I write out my introduction and my conclusion word for word because I want them to be perfect. I want to feel that I have that confidence when I begin my presentation to come to the podium and to know exactly what I'm going to say and how to say it. And remember, we talked earlier with communication apprehension how we can trick the brain because the brain's already heard it before. So if you will practice and have your introduction written out word for word, it will truly help you get into the meat of your presentation. So today we're going to talk about the way to begin your presentation and the way to end your presentation. Like the man in the picture, is your audience sitting on the edge of their seat? Do they want to hear what your presentation is all about? An introduction should have the following 5 elements. First of all, you need to capture your audience's attention. And then you want to give them motivation or reason to listen. You need to tell us your purpose. You need to tell us how you're credible to do your presentation. And then lastly, you want to give them a little preview. This is what you're going to be talking about during your presentation. So let's start with attention. Getting your audience on board with what you're going to talk about. Now, honestly, the first thing that your audience is going to notice is you. What are you wearing? How are you dressed? Is it appropriate for your topic? You are your own attention-gaining strategy. And even though your audience summarizes the information within 6 to 10 seconds, they are still looking at you. If you're wearing sweats or pajamas or jeans or something that really doesn't show that you took the time to prepare yourself for the presentation, that's negative attention. And honestly, your audience is looking at you like, well, if they don't care about the topic, why should I? Dress for your presentation. I always tell my students, you dress one standard above what your audience. Now, most of our audience today is going to be in jeans, right? So perhaps a nice pair of slacks and a top for a gal. You can wear jeans to your presentation, but they should be pressed. I should be able to look at you and know that you took the time to gather the right attention of yourself for your topic. Attention strategies are important and much like supporting materials. You can capture your audience's attention by starting with a poem, a story, a quote, a startling statistic, or a visual aid. Anything that's going to start your presentation. Now, when you come and do your presentation, you don't start with, hello, my name is, and the purpose of my presentation is. You don't say, I'm ready to start now, and that's your introduction. You just begin your presentation with your attention strategy. The more information you have, and the more it relates to your topic, the more interested your audience is going to become. You next need to tell us your purpose. Embedded in your purpose needs to be the motivation for your students or your audience to listen to you. Why, for the next 5 minutes, should your audience pay attention to what you have to say? You have to give your students or your audience a reason to listen. The purpose of my presentation is blank. I would like to demonstrate this wonderful dessert so that you can bake it the next time you have company over. Give your audience a reason to listen and tell them what you're up to. This is for informative speaking. The rules change a little bit when we do our next persuasive presentation. Again, your introduction, I kind of think of it as a fill in the blank. You tell us your attention, tell us the purpose, give us that reason to listen, and then the next you're going to tell us how you're credible. How can you talk about this subject? I like you to be very clear. I am able to talk about this subject. I am credible because for the past 10 years I have done blank. I am able to talk about my family vacation because we went this past winter season to New Mexico to ski. Tell us how you're credible. I'm able to bake these chocolate chip cookies and demonstrate the process because my grandmother has been baking them since I was a small child. Let us know how you're able to do that. Now let's say you want to talk about fire safety and you're going to the fire school here at TCC. It would be acceptable for you to wear maybe your fire jacket, and then that's part of your attention strategy, but it also builds credibility because you look like the role that you're talking about. If you are going to talk to us about how to throw that perfect spiral football, it's okay to wear a Cowboys jersey if that's your favorite team. Look like what you are presenting. In all 3 videos, I have tried to look professional because I'm telling you about a subject that I love to teach. Establish the credibility. Tell us how come we should listen to you. And next, we need to preview our main points. Tell our audience the 3 main topics that we're going to be listening to. So let me do a typical introduction for you and see if you can label or identify all 5 parts of an introduction. It's not easy knowing, and it's a heavy burden to bear. It's not easy knowing what others cannot share. It's not the dying, Lord, that concerns me. It's not the pain I now endure. It's the life I leave behind me and not being able to live it anymore. Why must we reach this stage in life before we realize the vastness of the waters and the blueness of the sky? Things that never mattered, I now hold precious and dear. It's not easy knowing, and it's a heavy burden to bear. It's not easy knowing what others cannot share. It's not the dying, Lord, that concerns me. It's not the pain I now endure. It's the life I leave behind me and not being able to live it anymore. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Carol Hunsberger, and I'm here today to talk about a hospice program and caring for the dying with dignity. I know that a lot of us watching this video are not ready for a hospice program. However, you might have a grandma or grandpa or aunt or uncle who's nearing the end of their life, and they may need this type of care one day. Hospice is a program that works with patients who are terminally ill who wish to die in the comfort of their own home with dignity. I'm able to talk to you about the hospice program because for 4 years I worked as the Director of Volunteers for Family Service Hospice. Today I'd like to share with you the criteria of a hospice program. I'd like to tell you about the benefits a hospice patient will receive, and I'd like to tell you about our method of payment. That, my friends, is an introduction. You heard the poem, which is how I started my presentation. I introduced myself. I introduced my topic. I told you how it was motivating you to listen. I talked to you about how I was credible, and then I previewed my main points. Again, I believe that you should memorize or write out word for word your introduction because it starts you off wonderfully with your audience and you're confident in what you're saying. Lastly, I want to talk about conclusions. We've got the introduction now. You've already had the body written, and now we're going to conclude. The conclusion is the smallest part, or the bottom of the bun, of your sandwich. I want to hear you say, In conclusion, to reiterate, in summary, today I have spoken about we need to know that you're getting ready to finish, because while you've been talking, we may have drifted a little bit. We may have gone on that vacation. Remember psychological noise? Especially if you're talking about a really serious subject. So we want to know that you're almost done so we can pay attention to you one more time. So in conclusion, you're going to restate your purpose and then you're going to finish with the bang. You're going to offer us a clincher. You're going to give us one declarative sentence that kind of summarizes up your topic in one sentence. Now, let me kind of warn you about something. When you say, in conclusion, we know you're getting ready to finish. But what happens if all of a sudden you think, oh my gosh, I forgot my third main point, and you go back to that third main point? Your audience isn't happy with you. If you forget your third main point, you just forgot your third main point. I know all of you have had experience with this in church. You know your minister's tell when it's almost time for him to wrap up the homily or the sermon, and you get to get on with your Sunday. Come on, admit it. You kind of get a little excited. Well, what would you do if your pastor uses his tell and you think he's almost done? He goes, oh, wait, forgot. Please turn your Bibles to Genesis, and let's start this process all over again. Oh my goodness, you're not happy with your minister. So therefore, when you say in conclusion, it really means in conclusion. Also, you don't add any new information during this time. It's not time to show us your visual aid. It's not time to put in this long-winded quote or statistic. You're going to finish. So, in conclusion, today I have spoken to you about the hospice program. I've told you about the criteria, the services, and the payment rendered, because it's not easy knowing what we cannot share. It's not easy knowing what they do not dare. It's not the dying Lord that concerned them. It's not the pain that they endured. It's the life they leave behind them and not being able to live it anymore. Thank you.